another. This fellow is called Pliny the Younger, and he was a governor of 2 regions in the Roman Empire. He had problems with these people who followed Christ. He had problems with the Christians. So he would write to the emperor and ask for help. And we have volumes of these letters in libraries today. We read, as Pliny speaks, they, the Christians, they meet on a certain day and sing hymns to Christ as to a God. I ask them if they are Christians. If they say yes, I repeat the question a second time and a third time, threatening to kill them. We read that Pliny Younger would go to a person and would say, "Do you follow Yeshua HaMashiach?" And the man says, "Yes, I do." Be careful. If you answer yes 2 more times, then you will be killed. Do you follow Jesus Christ? Be careful. This is your last chance. Do you follow Jesus Christ? You are sentenced to die. We read that these people love Jesus Christ, sing hymns to him as to a God, and they would die for him. All written by non-Christian historians. We know that Jesus Christ is a real person in history. But we need to look at more evidence, and I want to introduce the New Testament. Now, some of you know that the Holy Bible is called the Word of God. God speaking to the people of the world, helping us to understand. It is a father's instruction and guidance and direction for his beloved children. We know that there are 2 parts of the Holy Bible. The first part are the ancient writings, ancient Hebrew writings, and that is called the Old Testament or the Tanakh. And then we have the New Testament. Now the New Testament really is a book that helps us to understand all about the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it is very important for me to use this book to show you that Jesus is God. Now, some of you say that this book has been changed over time. You don't trust it. You think people changed it. I want to show you today that it is trustworthy. We can trust the New Testament, that it hasn't changed over time. There are 27 books in the New Testament, and it was written between 40 and 100 AD by apostles. Those were the friends of Jesus Christ who followed him and studied with him. He was a rabbi. And we read the history of the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and the history of the early missionaries. Those people who went out into the world to tell people that Jesus is the Messiah, the unique Son of the living God, that he is God. Now, we need to test books. This is very, very important because some books are changed over time. And we know that when we go to university, all of the books that we read in university, the classic books, have been tested. This is called textual criticism. And there are scholars who test books. The New Testament has been tested. These 2 books have been tested as well. Maybe you have studied these at university. One is called Herodotus and the other is Caesar's Gallic War. They were tested and they both passed. How do we test books? It's important for you to know that there are two parts of the test. The first part is how much time between the original writing and the first copy. How much time? Do you think more years is better or fewer years? Fewer years is better between the original and the first copy. Okay, we know that. Second test. How many first copies? Do you think fewer is better or more? More, of course. More is better. So we want fewer years and more copies. And so these two books, Herodotus and Caesar's Gallic War, they were both tested and they were found to be good history books. They haven't been changed. Let me show you the results. When the scholars tested Herodotus, they found that the time between the original and the first copy was 1,300 years. And it passed. How many copies? Well, now I used grains of rice to count copies. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 copies. It passed the test. Caesar's Gallic War. How many years between the original and the first copy? Ah, better. 950 years. It passes the test. But how many copies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It passes the test. Now, the New Testament. How many years passed between the original writing and the first copy? $300 years. Now they have found some sightings that were written at about 125 years between the original and the first copy. But for today, I will say 300 years. Does it pass the test? Is it better than Caesar's Gallic War? Is it better than Herodotus? Yes. Fewer years between the original and the first copy. It passes the test. But how many copies? Because we know we need a certain number of copies for it to pass the test. How many copies? How many first copies? Well, I used grains of rice to show you the copies. And so, this is the number of copies. And I tried to count the grains of rice. Over 25,000 first copies. Do you think the New Testament passes the test? Yes, it passes the test better than any other book. In fact, you will look and see that there are 5,700 Greek first copies, 10,000 Latin first copies, 9,300 other languages first copies, and over 36,000 sightings. More than 25,000. Sir Frederick Kenyon is a scholar who tests books, and he said the books of the New Testament are found to be real and complete. So, I introduced the New Testament. I want to talk about this. I want to look in the New Testament and study the life, the death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. and show you that Jesus is God. What does the New Testament say about Jesus? First of all, we know this. His name is important. Yeshua, HaMashiach. You know this. The Lord saves. HaMashiach, the Messiah, the anointed one, the chosen one. Many people in the world today believe that Jesus is a real person in history. But they believe that he is a prophet, a good religious teacher. But I said that Jesus is much more than that he is God. Is he God? This is the question. Jesus was walking with his disciples, and he asked one of them, "What do people say about the Son of Man?" Now, Jesus used this phrase, Son of Man, to speak of himself. It would be like a pronoun for us. What do people say about me? And the disciples answered, "Some people say you are John the Baptist, or maybe Elijah, or Jeremiah, or some other prophet." So the people at that time, they believed that Jesus was just a prophet, a great religious teacher. And then he turns to one disciple, Simon Peter, and he says, "But who do you say I am?" And Simon Peter, he spoke up, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." What does Jesus say to him at this time? No, you're wrong. I am not the Messiah. I am not the unique Son of the living God. I am just a prophet. I am just a great moral teacher. No, Jesus does not say that. Jesus says, "Simon, son of Jonah, you are blessed." Blessed, highly favored by God, because God has allowed you to see the truth that I am God, man, the Messiah, the one who has come to the world to save the people of the world. But was Simon Peter right? This is the question. Was and is Jesus the unique Son of the living God? Now, we must look at the evidence. First of all, who did Jesus say he was? Who did he say he was? Now, you look at this first question. Who did Jesus say he was? Who did he claim to be? That's a very, very lovely verb. It means to state as a fact. I am Karen Amati. I claim I am Karen Amati. I state this as a fact. Who did Jesus say he was? We must study. We must find the answer to that question. And then, is there evidence to support his claim? We must look at his life, and we must decide, does he have a life that is like God? We must study carefully. First, who did Jesus claim to be? Who did he say he was? Let's look at three things in the New Testament. We will look at his teaching, at indirect claims and direct claims. And you will see what I mean in a minute.